I'm Victoria Cooksey, and this is a message in a bottle. Okay. Dear Random Dish Panic Hotline, why is the rum always gone? JS?
There should be a captain in there somewhere.
And okay, how'd you get in here and people normally call? Alrighty then. Today on Random Dish, we're going to start off by making some duck confit. Really? What is the duck supposed to do without its feet? It's not duck feet, it's confit.
You're not making any sense, Donna.
Well, hopefully without any further interruption, let me get to the real introduction. Today on Random Dish, we're going to be making duck confit, phyllo dough rolls, baked in the oven, and served with a cherry dipping sauce. Now let me show you how to start off by making the confit. Duck confit is literally duck cooked in fat. So that's where the term comes from. It's kind of a way to preserve meat as well. Today, to make the confit, we're going to preheat the oven to 225 degrees. In this foil lined pan, I've got 2 duck breasts, skin side up. And all we gotta do, real simple, I've got a ½ teaspoon salt and about 8 peppercorns. Just gonna sprinkle that in. I took a container that's 7 ounces of duck fat. You can find this sometimes in the deli, sometimes by the meat, sometimes in the freezer section. All I did was put it in a pan, melt it. Looks like this, kind of a nice golden color. Liquid gold, as they say. Just take the melted duck fat, pour it over our duck breast. And that is literally all there is to it. Just going to put this in the oven, and it's going to slow cook at that 225 degrees anywhere from like 3 hours, sometimes even 4 hours, until the meat's really tender. So just stick it in the oven, forget about it, come back to it in a few hours. The duck confits just come out of the oven. This set cooked about 3.5 hours. The meat's nice and tender. I'm going to leave it out on the counter about 30 minutes to cool off. Put a cover on it, stick it in the fridge until we're ready to use it. You can keep this in there overnight or even up to a couple days and it'll be just fine. And then I'll show you what to do next. Yum yum. Taking the duck confit out of the refrigerator, it sat overnight. You can see the duck fat has gotten solid again, so now we're going to take it out of the fat. But I should probably take my rings off before we do. Just going to take it out. If any little fat's on there, just kind of brush it off. You're just going to put them on the cutting board. Be sure to keep all that leftover fat. It's really good to melt the sauteed potatoes in it. You can even use a little of it melted, and a replacement is oil and dressing for salad. It's awesome stuff. Next up, we've got our duck breast here. We need to take the skin off, which is going to come off really easy. Just kind of slide your fingers in. And again, you want to keep this too, because we're actually going to do something with that a little later on. That's pretty yummy. Next, you can either use 2 forks to shred up the meat, or just take a knife and just kind of finely chop it. Duck is all cut up, so we can set that aside for now. And now I can go ahead and put my rings back on, or a ring. To make the cherry dipping sauce, I've got a little butter and olive oil, and I've sauteed up 1 onion. You can do a white onion, yellow onion, or if it says sweet onion, go for that. I'm going to add in a ½ cup of orange juice, freshly squeezed if you may. We've got a 1/4 teaspoon ground ginger, and we're going to do a few grinds of black pepper. Stir that in good so the ginger's all mixed in. Next up is putting 1 bag of frozen cherries in. I'm just going to let that cook until the cherries start breaking down. It'll take a couple minutes. Really? What the heck? Luckily, I always have a spare grinder. Now this is heated through, and you can see the cherries have started to break down a little bit because the sauce is starting to go nice and red. All we've got to do to finish up, last ingredient, is 2 teaspoons of soy sauce. Stir that in. I've shut the heat off. Now we just got to puree this. You can use your blender or a food processor, but I'm going to use a little stick blender until it's nice and smooth. Now that we've got this all pureed, you could serve it like that, but I like to go a touch more refined, and we're gonna put that through a strainer. Now it's time to assemble. So I've got some phyllo dough. You wanna keep it covered because it dries out really easily. We did 1 sheet of phyllo dough. Now I put a second sheet on top. We're gonna put melted butter on that one as well, until it's all the way covered. All right, then we're gonna take a little of our shredded yummy duck confit meat. And you can use coleslaw mix, or I happen to have a little just on its own, shredded cabbage, put in a couple bits of shredded carrot. Then we're gonna bring the sides in. I'm gonna tighten that up a little bit. You're gonna brush with a little more butter. Doesn't have to be too perfect. Then you're just gonna start rolling that up like a little package. And then brush with a little bit more butter. And we're gonna do this with all of them and stick them on a cookie sheet. Our duck confit phyllo dough wraps are all ready to go in the oven. We're gonna bake these at 375 until they're nice and brown. Just taking our duck confit phyllo dough packets out of the oven. Took about 25 minutes. You can see they've got a nice golden color on them, and they're nice and crispy and ready to rock. I haven't forgot about that skin we took off of our duck breast. So you're gonna take these and you're just gonna cut them up to little strips or little pieces, and we're gonna fry them up, make a little crackling. I'm gonna take a little of our leftover duck fat and let that melt. This pan's kind of over medium to medium high heat. We've got our duck skin here, and we're gonna put this in, and you're just kind of frying this up like you would bacon, and you're gonna see it's gonna start to get nice and crispy at the end. It'll take a couple minutes, but keep an eye on it because it can burn pretty quick. All right, now our duck skin pieces are nice and crispy. So we're gonna just take a slotted spoon and drain them out. And once you've got them all out, then you'll take just a little salt and sprinkle it over. Take a little of the sauce and put it in the ramekin here to put on the side of 1 serving. Okay, we're gonna put a couple of these yummy crispy babies over here. And a few, because why not, of our little crispy duck skin. I don't think so. Today on Random Dish, we made phyllo dough packets with duck confit, a little shredded carrot, dipped them in a lovely cherry dipping sauce, and no thanks to that klepto pirate JS, I've still got a couple left.
And there's Captain in there.
Well, see you next time, if I'm still here and haven't had to say parlay. This episode of Random Dish was brought to you by Monkey Brand Rum. Monkey Brand. Always empty.